YouTube selamlar. Vampirle, Jonathan'ın hikayesiyle kaldığımız yerden devam ediyoruz. Evet, adamın hastanesine geldik. Şimdi etrafı bir inceleyeceğiz tabii, bakacağız.
We'll have a word in my office later, Jonathan.
Ben niye gidemiyorum? Şöyle gideyim. Ne oluyor abi?
Rotten or pristine, each heart contains the secret of life. Drink at this river, try it all.
Oh, come on, you bastard! I won't bite.
Sir, please. You've lost too much blood.
Evet.
Calm yourself.
You think I didn't notice? Stop your staring and get me to an hospital, you arse!
Daha kibar ol.
Insulting a good Samaritan. Not exactly the way to get rescued.
All right, sorry. I am in pain here. My guts are spilling out onto the street and you're yabbering on.
Yes. That's a very nasty wound you've got there. Take my word, I am a doctor. Dr. Jonathan Reed.
Name's Clay Cox. I'd appreciate you helping me to a better place, Doc.
Follow me, Mr. Cox. Let me assist you to that better place.
Böyle adam ol. Kanka, bir vatandaşın kadın içince ne kadar tecrübe puanı kazanacağını gösterir. Yüksekse kazanacağın puan o kadar fazla olur. Babanın kanını içmek için ilk önce onu cezbetmeli ve başkalarının göremeyeceği bir yere çekmelisin. Daha yüksek olmalı.
Bring this fading light into the shadows. Dance with him the dance of life and death.
Nereye gideceğim lan? Bir dakika. Bırakabilirim. Öldürebilirim.
No more. Not tonight. Not like this. I will not take another life.
Almayacağım lan.
Whoa, I feel giddy. What happened?
Bir şey olmadı, öldürmedim seni.
It is wise for the huntsman to sometimes let his prey go. But no famished hunter can run for long.
Öldürmeyeceğim oğlum. Allah Allah.
Did I black out?
He, bayıldım. Öldürmedim seni, rahat ol. Yani doğru mu yaptık bilmiyorum ama Öldürmedim. Hadi değerimi bil. Abi hiç öldürmeden gidebilir miyim? Bilmiyorum ama bakacağız. Merhaba bayan. Konuşabilir miyiz?
Good evening, nurse.
İyi
I'm
akşamlar.
Dr. Jonathan Reed, the new surgeon here at the Pembroke.
Dr. Swansea has already told us about you, sir. I'm Nurse Gwyneth Brannigan. Welcome to the Pembroke Hospital.
Hoş
Did
bulduk.
he really? It's a good thing I wasn't hoping to keep a low profile.
All members of staff have already read about your new blood transfusion technique. Dr. Swansea made sure of that.
I see. Well, I'm a little surprised, but I suppose I...
You must know, blood transfusions are Dr. Swan...
Güzelmiş kanka harita. Bu 1. Cezbetme seviyem 1. Buna 6 lazım, buna 5 lazım. Bunların alayını öldürebiliyorum.
How are things?
Not good, to say the least. We're struggling against an...
An invisible enemy.
Sorry, Doctor. These last few weeks have been exhausting. We could all do with a good night's sleep.
Do you think this hospital can survive the epidemic?
We are all volunteers here, and we're trying to hold fast, but how do we beat an invisible killer? Some nurses have already resigned.
Deneyeceğim, yardım etmeye çalışacağım.
I'm not familiar with all the staff yet. Perhaps
Brilliant professionals, most of them.
most of them. Is there a problem I should know?
It would be inappropriate for me to speak ill of a colleague.
Göze batan var
Is
mı?
there anyone that stands out?
Well, I have never met someone as dedicated as Dr. Tippett.
Why should his age be a problem?
I guess it's fair to say he's always pushing himself to the limits. He just doesn't know when to stop and get some rest.
Diyorsun.
Nurse Brannigan, if you do know something, please tell me. Anything you say will be held in confidence.
No, I may disagree with some conduct, but in the end, everybody is doing their best.
Teşekkür ederim. Ayrıntılar. He, Q'yle cezbediyor. Kötü adam olup olmadığını görüyor. Allah, güzel. Kişisel sorular, ipucu gerekli, ipucu gerekli. Diyorsun. Tamam.
Goodbye, nurse. Call me if you need assistance.
Teşekkür ederim.
We thought
Aha.
we were young again. Just a dozen years.
Seninle de konuşalım.
Good evening, sir.
İyi akşamlar.
The famous Dr. Reed has joined us. I can't think of any better news during these terrible times.
Do we know each other?
Tanıyor musun?
Yes. We met once before at the Rockefeller
Diyorsun.
University in New York.
Dr. Tippett, yes, I remember. I was assisting Professor Carell in his research about coronary bypasses. He had nothing but praise for you.
He was also very confident about your future. And look at you now. Eminent surgeon and blood transfusion specialist.
Kişisel soru soramıyoruz. Olabilir.
What is the Pembroke Hospital situation? And please, speak freely.
This hospital is not exactly the best of London. I'm sure you
Ah,
are used to working in a better
Bu
environment.
tamamen Sherlock Holmes'a dönmüş.
It's more than enough. In any case, the personnel of a hospital are much more...
Don't be misled by appearances, Dr. Reed. This
Diyorsun.
What is the Pembroke...
hospital.
It's more...
Don't be.
Tamam. Bana çalışanlardan bahset.
What can you tell me about the staff in the hospital?
Some are really good and others are not so good. But during this troubled period, there is no time for slander. I prefer to focus on the positive character traits.
Tell me more about cherished people, then.
Nurse Brannigan is a pearl. She is the most helpful and dedicated nurse I've ever worked with. A clever and cheerful woman.
You really seem to admire her skills.
I'll go even further. If she was a man, she would be a damn fine practitioner.
Diyorsun.
Any opinion about the management?
I don't always agree with Dr. Swansea's reserve, but I must admit he does all he can to keep this facility running during this crisis.
Ah, yes, the burden of command. I was fed up with this concept while serving as a medical officer.
Don't get me wrong. Swansea's a good administrator. I just wish he would get out of his office down again.
Tamam, olabilir. Şuna bir
You're
açalım.
exhausting yourself, Corcoran. Maybe you should think about preserving your strength.
No, we must keep on healing all those poor souls. We are the last rampart before chaos. Once more unto the breach.
Bunu söylemeyeyim.
You've nothing to prove, Dr. Tippett, to anybody. And we all praise your experience. Please, have some rest.
I am perfectly fine, and I am not too old for this job.
Diyorsun.
You're exhausted.
No,
You've not...
I am...
Ha, bunu direkt böyle oldu. Tamam, kişisel sorular soramıyorum.
Goodbye, Doctor.
Bu kara hakkında bir şeyler dedin ha. Bir
Good
dakika.
evening.
Good evening.
Evet.
Why does Dr. Tippett claim you're the main reason he keeps working, despite his fatigue?
If it wasn't for him, I probably would have left the Pembroke.
Dr. Tippett does not think of you as just a nurse anymore, does he?
If you're suggesting he's not taking my gender into consideration when it comes to medical practice and knowledge, I really hope he doesn't.
Goodbye, nurse.
Görüşürüz. Bir sürü şey çıkardık buradan. Bir tarafa bakalım, daha konuşacağımız adamlar var. Oo, durdu. Şunun ekibiyle bir konuşalım. Bekle ya, bekle, tüm gece bekle, dur. Benim her tarafa bakmam lazım. Bakmadan rahat rahat yatamıyorum. İpuçtan alırsın, dur. Tamam, geliyorum.
Doctor, where have you been? I've little time to play hide and seek with new staff members, no matter how illustrious they may be.
I found a wounded man by the docks. He answers to the name of Clay Cox. He requires urgent medical attention.
Already making the rounds? That's the Pembroke spirit. I'll ask our...
Evet, adamı almadık ya, çok iyi.
Thank you, nurse. What can I do for you?
Dr. Swansea insisted we provide...
Güzel, ondan belki bir şeyler
You'll
öğreniriz.
find it on the
İyi
second
ki
floor with
indirmedik
your
adamı.
name on the door.
Thank you. Nurse Crane, isn't it?
Yes,
Evet.
Dorothy Crane. Welcome to Pembroke Hospital.
I would like to ask a few questions first. And Mr. Hampton, the patient we brought in.
I gave him a sedative to help him sleep. Poor thing was in quite a state of shock.
Tamam.
If you could point me in the direction of my room again, nurse.
Second floor of the hospital, left after the stairs. It's the last vacant office at the end of the corridor.
Tamam, teşekkür ederim.
What kind of man is Dr. Swansea?
Well, you accepted the job from him. I thought you would have known about your employer.
Tamam, bayağı ki sen onunla daha yeni görmüştüm.
Apologies, I've only just met him the once. This is sudden. I've only just...
Aynen öyle. Ne kadar
Dr.
şeysin.
Swansea is a brilliant surgeon and the most compassionate physician.
Hemen agresiflik, tamam.
It's right to assume Dr. Swansea knows far more about me than I do about him.
You'll get to know him soon enough, and better than me. The administrator has better things to do than mix with us.
Tamam. Doğrudur bayan. Yani bu
Thank
agresiflik
you,
niye?
Nurse Crane.
Teşekkürler Crane. Senden bir çocuk öğrenemedik. Yapacak bir şey yok. Bu kim? Seninle...
Good evening, Nurse Brannigan.
Good evening, Doctor.
Seninle konuştum değil mi ben? Evet, seninle ben konuştum. Tabii ki.
Goodbye.
Görüşürüz hemşire. Kendinize iyi bakın. Ben sizinle görüştüm o yüzden. Şimdilik görüşmesem de olur. Bayağı hasta var ama ya. Aha! Yeni biri.
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed.
I've already heard about you, Dr. Reed. I'm Milton Hooks, the ambulance driver for this shithole of a hospital.
That's quite a blunt introduction, Mr. Hooks. I'm not sure I understand what you're talking about.
Well, I'm no doctor, but I'm pretty sure a gun can't be used as a surgical instrument.
You have a keen eye. I learned to shoot during the war and have carried one ever since. Old habits die hard.
No need to explain, Dr. Reed. And if you ever need a better gun, remember, I may have something for you.
Teşekkür ederim.
How is the situation?
You want to hear the situation is all right? It's fucking awful. We lack everything, and it's getting worse every day.
Mesleğin
What
ne
do you do
normal?
exactly in this hospital? Apart from smuggling.
I've been an ambulance driver since too long, I guess. I bring sick people here night and day. It's a dirty job, but I get it done. Most of the time.
Diyorsun.
Since you're on the front line,
It's a complete disaster. It's even getting dangerous to enter some streets or buildings. Even the locals.
it sounds like things have been a bit rough recently. What's happened?
Yesterday I got attacked by the patient I was bringing here. I escaped from the hospital's garden. But I
Hadi.
lost my way when I was running.
You left an infected patient outside the hospital. That
Go there yourself if you want, but be careful, Doctor. I'd rather not bring your dead body back.
Ona bakacağız.
Are you really smuggling weapons through?
And why not? I've already been attacked by patients, you know. And by gang members willing to steal my money.
But you're not defending yourself. You're selling guns to civilians.
Keep people alive your own way, Doctor. I offer them another way to protect their health.
Sen %99 öleceksin.
I'd like to see.
Wise choice, Dr. Reed. A reliable...
Dokuz mu bu parası? Silah yapmak için plan lazım herhalde. Anladığım kadarıyla öyle. Yani... Bir dakika geliyorum. Dur ben bunlara tek tek şey yapacağım, bakacağım da. Şimdi değil. Param zaten 9. Satabiliyorum herhalde anladığım kadarıyla. Evet, satabiliyorum ama şimdi bakacağız ya. Seninle görüştüğümüz için teşekkür ederim bu arada arkadaşım. Milton, aynen. Teşekkür ederim. Şöyle etrafa bakmayı severim. Bir şeyler çıkabilir böyle oyunlardan. Oyun biraz araştırma üzerine. Şimdi gidebilirim. Seninle de görüştük. Şurada bir şey var sanki. Bilinmiyor mu? İçeride. Nasıl bilmem. Nasıl bilmiyorum, ayıp ediyorsunuz.
Dr. Swansea is right. This place seems perfect to conduct my research.
Bayağı adam var ha. Bayan merhaba.
Good evening, nurse.
Good evening, Doctor. I don't think we've been introduced yet.
Evet, tanışmadık.
My name is Pippa Hawkins.
And I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed. Dr. Swansea...
Ben paso böyle konuşacağız anlaşılan.
Well, it's a euphemism that your help will be appreciated, Doctor.
Nasılsınız hemşire hanım? Burada durumlar nasıl?
It's serious. The flu is wreaking havoc amongst the staff and patients. We are running out of everything.
Diyorsun.
You must get a hold of yourself.
Yani.
Sorry, I'm exhausted. No one has any idea when this epidemic will be over.
Diyorsun. Biter de ha.
Hawkins, the Spanish flu won't last forever.
Sakin ol ya.
Didn't kill everyone.
I wish I could believe you. But what if this...
Çok şeysin ya.
How long?
Paniksin.
Well, long enough to see that the epidemic is winning. And no matter how qualified you are, don't tell me you'll change that.
Haklısın.
You're right. When dealing with such a terrible disease, one must remain humble. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't try our best.
Sorry, Doctor. I don't want to sound bitter, but I'm just too tired to give a pep talk like Nurse Brannigan.
Çalışanlar ne
How is
durumda?
the Pembroke staff coping with the epidemic?
Açıkla
Not
bakalım.
well. Milton, the ambulance driver, is even more grumpy than usual, especially concerning doctors.
Niye bu kadar
Why is
huysuz?
Milton grumpy on a daily basis? Is it just an act?
Milton's not the kind of man who's bothered about a bad reputation, whether he deserved...
Diyorsun.
Why does Milton dislike doctors?
I don't know. Just ask him. But be warned, Milton is not the chatty type.
Tamam. Teşekkür ederim bu arada.
Goodbye, Nurse Hawkins.
Arka bahçeye gir. Tamam, gireceğim oraya. Neredesin lan? Seninle ilgili. Nerede oğlum bu? Nereye gittin oğlum ya? Arka bahçe nerede bu arada? Beni bir hastane. Tamam, oraya bakacağız. Aa, burada. Dayı içiyorsun.
Good evening, Milton.
Good evening, Doctor. Still
Bir şey var, bir sorun var da.
Why do you have such a mediocre reputation among your colleagues, Milton?
fuck them. Nobody knows the horrors I've seen since working here. This city was sick long before the epidemic, Dr. Reed.
I know it's a difficult task, but correct me if I'm wrong. Is this not the job you are paid to do?
I've seen babies left to die while their brothers were properly fed. Underage girls and boys sold to all manner of perverts.
I'm sorry, I don't know what to say.
Yeah, exactly. We lack words. So excuse me if I don't look.
Gel lan.
Goodbye, Milton.
Şu ne? Şu sağda da bir şeyler var. Şu ne? Bunlarla konuşabiliyor mu hastalarla? Öyle bir şey var mı? Yok herhalde. Seninle konuşmadık değil mi biz hiç?
Good evening, Mr.
Dr. Reed, is it?
What do you mean?
I was not myself in the factory. Fear and exhaustion made me say awful things to you, I'm afraid.
You remained perfectly nice and polite. A little delirious, perhaps. But who wouldn't be after enduring an abduction?
Thank
Evet.
you, Doctor. That's a relief. Now all I need to do is rest and return to my flock.
Biraz seninle konuşalım ya.
How did you end up in William Bishop's den?
I had received alarming news about his recent behavior. I went to his place and he refused to let me go.
Neden seni
Why did
kaçırmış?
he abduct you?
William was an alcoholic. His addiction suddenly changed to blood. I don't know why. Just like a patient I met here, this Miss Hallcroft.
You dared to enter this awful place alone.
I'm just a man trying to help his friends, Dr. Reed.
Diyorsun. İyi bir adama benziyorsun.
Do you know Tom Watts, the bartender from the Turtle? I met him before I found you in the canning factory.
Evet.
Tom? Yes, of course. Always the helping hand, good old Tom. Without men like him, corruption and despair would have wiped out the East End long ago.
Who
Yolsuzluk.
should I avoid in this part of town then? Any particularly evil figures?
Not really. Most men and women are just doing their best. And it's not my habit to speak ill of people I know, Doctor.
People are still in despair.
How could it be otherwise? The authorities have left us all to rot in this contempt.
Diyorsun.
What is the general situation in
The
the...
situation has always been tough, with a lot of tensions between the gangs and the Dockers trade union. The Wet Boot Boys are very nervous since they lost their leader.
Who leads the gang now?
Since Clay Cox went missing, it's his wife Edwina who runs the show, with the assistance of her minion, Booth Digby.
Has the gang been threatening you?
Yeni bir isim mi öğrendim? Aynen
I've had
öyle.
this nickname for so long, you know, the sad saint.
Tamam. Soru sorabiliyorsun. Ne iş yapıyorsun
What do
diye.
you do for a living, Mr. Hampton? I can't help but...
I manage a night asylum for the poor and homeless of the docks, and I try to guide the lost and hesitant on the right path to our Lord.
Rahip misin
Are
diye.
you a priest, Mr. Hampton?
Not at all, Doctor. I'm just a man of faith willing to preach the good word.
Why didn't you use your cross against William Bishop? To repel him somehow?
That's a very strange question, Doctor. A cross is no magical token, if that's what you were trying to say. Not mine, anyway.
Diyorsun.
Have you made friends since you arrived?
Not really, but I recognize Miss Harriet Jones. I knew her when she lived by the docks. That poor woman had such a
You never came to see her here at Pembroke. Receiving visits when sick can be an important part of the healing process, you know. We're not just bodies.
You're preaching to the converted now, Doctor. To be truly honest,
How do you feel, Mr. Hampton? Medically speaking.
I feel exhausted. Beyond exhaustion, actually. William drank so much of my blood in his madness.
Senin sıkıntıların var.
Empty.
You're in good hands here. Dr. Swansea is well versed in blood transfusion, and I'm sure he'll take the best care of you.
Thank you, sir. I believe all I need is rest. And then I can go back to the people who need me.
Tamam.
Goodbye.
Görüşürüz. Senden de bir dünya şey öğrendim. Güzel oldu.
Time has lost its
De şurada adamlar var, onlarla da görüşelim. Sen.
Good evening, Doctor. I believe we're going to be working together.
Dr. Reed. Dr. Swansea informed us of your arrival, but I could not dare to believe we'd have such good fortune. Such an honor.
Rica ederim.
Thank you.
I am Thoreau Strickland. Dr. Thoreau.
Bakayım. Cezbedemiyorum ama edeceğim.
Please, could you tell me something about yourself?
I'm a great admirer of your work concerning blood transfusion, Dr. Reed. I run my own experiments. I'm convinced it's the future.
What made you choose to be a doctor?
I'm not ashamed to admit you and your work have inspired me.
Vay.
It's always a pleasure to share scientific and medical knowledge with someone eager to learn. I'll be glad to help you if I can.
This epidemic may be the century's most terrible disaster, but I'm convinced that we, as doctors, are the only ones able to defeat it.
I based my
Deneyimlerinden bahset
technique
bakayım.
on my mentor's research. He helped me perfect my method. What is yours?
I'd rather not talk about it. For now, it's just theories and first approach. My process is purely experimental and unsuccessful.
As long as you're cautious and methodical, You may remain empty-handed, but you won't fail.
You're not the first one to warn me. But I am convinced knowledge is the main weapon against the ravages of this epidemic.
Diyorsun. Bir dakika dostum.
What can you tell me?
Buranın hakkında ne biliyorsun?
It's
Ha.
always been an honor to work with Dr. Swansea. But with your arrival, I can't think of a better opportunity to learn.
Do you need help with anything?
Well, yes, maybe. I'm waiting for a batch of...
Do you want me to play the errand boy for you?
Oh no, Dr. Reed. But if you went personally to his shop, what with your reputation and all, he wouldn't dare to refuse the product.
I see. Well, give me the address, for I may pass by.
Ha, uğrarım.
You seem quite optimistic. It's a rare and precious attitude in these difficult times.
I'm convinced that this epidemic is a test of endurance and dedication for us men of...
Questions remain about our capacity to resolve the situation.
True. Last summer, during the first wave of the epidemic, I used to joke with Milton about the extra work.
Diyorsun. Tamam dostum. Bu da işimiz bitti. İşte.
Tell me more about your willingness to experiment with new medical techniques.
Harvey Fiddick is a patient suffering from a severe injury that could cripple him if not treated correctly. I'm convinced your blood transfusion technique could help him.
What is it you really want? To save him, or to prove your point?
Fair question. I want nothing but to save my patient, Dr. Reed. Especially since I know Mr. Fiddick's story.
This personal involvement could also appear to be a lack of...
I agree. But that does not excuse Dr.
Do you think keeping his distance was a mistake?
All I know is that I'm taking care of human beings.
Tell me Mr. Fiddick's story.
Our first diagnosis was compromised because Mr. Fiddick...
But why would he hide such crucial information from...
Because he is a proud father. Ashamed of putting his children at risk because of his own negligence.
Diyorsun. Vay. Vay.
Goodbye, Dr. Strickland.
Teşekkürler. Gene bir dünya bilgi öğrendik sayende. Teşekkürler. Seninle tanışmış mıydık? Seninle tanışmıştık. Dur seninle konuşacağım bir dakika. Şunu bir alayım. Ne haber lan?
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Reed.
I don't know if a third opinion is needed.
I see. Would you mind telling...
I'm Harvey Fiddick. All I want is to get me bloody arm fixed properly.
Bana kendinden bir bahset ya.
I'm just a regular guy waiting to get his arm fixed, so I can return to work and to my family.
I was more curious about what you were doing before being hospitalized.
I'm a carpenter, and a good one too.
Tell me about the doctors who are arguing.
Strickland and Aykroyd. They both want the best for me, but there's a lot of pride there. Doctors are no different from carpenters, it seems.
What do you mean?
I often had professional arguments with rivals on a building site. Difference is I disagreed about wooden nails, not flesh and bones.
Are you satisfied with your treatment here?
Well, it's clear that I've chosen a bad time to be injured. Forgive my bluntness, but you seem overwhelmed by cases of...
I won't lie to you about it. I'm afraid we are.
Are you sure you don't want to operate yourself, Dr. Reed? I have the feeling you're very capable, and your colleagues seem to think so too.
In other circumstances, you would be right. But for now,
Aynen öyle. Dur lan. Başka bir şey var mı? Neden
Tell
ki?
me about your injury, Harvey. Why do you feel so guilty about it?
My wife died because of me, and now I may lose everything because I've been careless enough to hurt myself. What an arsehole.
Diyorsun. Ya oğlum ne yapıyorsun? Bırak manyak. Adamı yiyordum az lazım. Özür dilerim lan, dur.
My sweet girl.
Good evening, Mr.
Good evening.
Is there anything else that's bothering you?
I'm all right.
He. Bunu öldürebiliyorum. İyi de şey veriyor. Bayağı da şey öğrendim. Karının ölümü
More
hakkında.
about the death of your wife, Harvey.
1915. I was in the army, building workshops for the Royal Flying Corps. Helen was happy I wasn't sent to the front.
What happened?
The Germans sent Zeppelins to bomb the construction site, but they missed their target. My wife was bringing my dinner when the bombs fell.
How
Çocuklar
were
iyi
the
mi?
children after losing their mother?
They were smaller then. The only good thing about this is my Helen didn't bring them with her that night.
Diyorsun.
I'm sorry for your loss. So many died during the bombings. I served in France and witnessed the carnage there.
I would like to say that she didn't suffer. Truth is, I have no idea. I just know that I'm all that me kids have. Poor little bleeders.
Bir tane daha var. Onu bulup yiyeceğim seni. Dur. Belki bulurum bir yerden.
Goodbye for now.
My sweet girl
Seni tam olarak bulayım da.
reads me like a book.
Duruma göre yerim. Dur.
I never could keep anything from her.
Bekle. Bakayım, bunu tanıyor mu? Bunu tanıyor. Neredeyim ben şimdi? Şu sağda bir şeyler var. Bilinmiyorum. Nasıl bilinmiyor? Allah Allah.
It's locked, all right.
Kilitli mi? Tamam, fark etmez.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Reed.
Always a pleasure to meet a colleague, sir. Especially when he was supposedly dead.
A colleague. Are you a doctor too?
Ya.
No more, sir. I used to be Dr. Rakesh Chadana. Now, I'm just Mr. Chadana, pawnbroker and humble guardian.
What do you mean? You used to be a doctor.
No, sir. It is just that I like to be precise. I run a little pawn shop while taking care of the dead. But I used to be a real doctor.
Aa, sen de böyle. Nasıl, sen berbatsın. Bir dakika. Biz böyle gidiyoruz ama kaç dakika oldu? İyi, çok değil.
Are you afraid or
Biraz daha
uneasy being
konuşalım.
surrounded by so many corpses?
Why should I? These bodies are empty vessels. Flesh.
Ehe.
An interesting point of view. And quite an exotic.
Sir, as a medic during the war, I learned to face my death and the death of others. It's the pain we have to tame, not death itself.
Diyorsun.
How did you get this job?
After I left the army, I worked as an undertaker down by...
Diyorsun, tamam. Bu da tek başına
Do you work
yaşıyorsun.
here alone?
Yes, very easy work, sir. All I have to do is watch a few bodies. The situation was very different when the main morgue was still open.
Why do you have to watch?
Because these poor fellows have no names. We keep them in...
Why close the hospital's main morgue?
It was for sanitary reasons after the beginning of the epidemic.
Diyorsun, tamam.
Have we met before? When we first talked, you said you were glad to meet me since I was reported dead.
Funny story, sir. Your sister came here a few nights ago.
Ne?
You were missing, and she was looking for your body. She must be very relieved now.
Vay. Vay. Vay, sen ölüsün oğlum.
A pawnbroker? I expect you get...
Yes, sir. All kind of people. For I sell all kind...
Who comes here to trade with you? It's very unhygienic, even unsafe. Diseases can spread. For the customers,
I'm very cautious, sir. I've been at... What
Neler
kind of
satıyor?
goods? With the quarantine, it's not always easy to buy things. So I trade.
Takas ediyor.
Since you're not afraid of dying, do you believe in life after death, Rakesh?
No. I believe we must do all the good we can while alive. For our time is short, and the obstacles are endless.
Do you think you would enjoy immortality as a concept?
I don't think so. Don't mistake me. I love life, and I'd like to live a long life. But everything has to decay, even goodwill.
Do you really believe goodwill cannot last? Quite depressing.
Yes, but the good news is we'll all die before losing up.
So you're ready to die?
No, I am not. I don't fear death, for I won't see it.
O kadar
What
eminsin yani.
troubles me is the pain my death will inflict to those I know.
You're a wise man, Mr. Chidan.
No, Dr. Reed, I am a foolish man. But I like to think.
Değişik bir adam oldum belli abi. Ondan yana sıkıntı yok.
Please show me what...
Of course.
Ne bu? Kodein. Tepi kağıdın üzerine yazılmış bir form kalmış görünüyor ve incelenmesi gerek ama bu iyi para. Tamam. Teşekkür ederim bu arada. Bunu bir türlü açacağım ben de. Nasıl açacağız? Onu bakacağız. Her şey sırayla abi. Ben giremiyorum.
I'm sorry you ended up on my plain and cold medical bench, sir. I understand you must be very angry about this unfair situation. I managed to arrange to have you buried in the same
Şurada bir şey
grave
vardı.
as your wife. I hope that might help.
Şunu al. Neredeydi o? Şurada. Şuralara giriliyor mu acaba? Alalım bunları.
Scowl voices in the garden. I should investigate. If they were to find somebody.
Bu mu? Ya buraya gel. Ya buraya gel. Yavaş. Tamam. Cam bas. Beyler. Lan. Şunu bir yiyeyim bakayım. Burada. Gülümseyen sevgi dolu bir çiftin fotoğrafı.
So, Mr. Hooks and Nurse Hawkins are an item. Those two have hidden their affections well.
Vay vay vay vay vay. Vay vay vay vay. Neler öğreniyorsun neler? Burada ne var bu arada? Tamam, evlenmek için yaparız da. Neredeyim ben şimdi? mesela. Ben bu arada hepsini şey yaptım mı? Daha var. Bunları acaba öldürmem gerekiyor mu? Onu da bilmiyorum.
Pembroke is so lucky to have Dr. Reed, you know.
Senin şeyi buldum herhalde ya.
Good evening, Milton.
Good evening, Doctor.
Cüzdanını buldum.
I have some good news, Milton.
What? The epidemic's over?
I retrieved your wallet with all the money and a certain picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pippa Hawkins is my girl. So what? Is it the difference of skin colour that bothers you?
Not at all, Milton.
Good. Please, take this money anyway. To remind you to keep your mouth shut. Not everybody is as broad-minded as you, Dr. Reed.
Teşekkürler.
What's going on between you and Nurse Hawkins?
Pippa's tired. Tired of all this shit. Tired of all...
During the war, I witnessed a few couples
Güzel.
just like you come together in difficult spaces.
Maybe you're right. But we support.
You do realize you could both get fired. Hospital staff are not meant to have intimate relationships with one another.
Come on, Dr. Reed. Do you know how many rules are broken in this hospital every day just to keep it running? There's nothing wrong with what we're doing.
Neyse. Görüşürüz.
Goodbye, Milton.
Hoşça kal Milton. Kim neydin sen? Bir dakika. Çifti. Buydu değil mi? Tamam. Nasıl bilinmiyor la? Aha.
Good evening, Nurse Hawkins.
Good evening,
Aynen ilişkin.
Pepper, I know you're very close to Milton Hooks.
Yes, Milton Hooks is my man. If you want to report me for that, just feel free, Doctor.
I have no intention of reporting you, Nurse Hawkins, but are you aware of the risks?
The rules say I won't be allowed to work as a nurse anymore. But here at the Pembroke, we break rules all the time.
Is he worth the risk?
Hey, I'm no perfect woman, and Milton is not the finest blood.
Tamam.
Goodbye, Nurse Hawkins.
Hoşça kal. Ben bana burada birini göremedim de. Kimmiş o? Sen misin? Ben sana baktım ha.
Good evening, sir.
Unless you're here to fix my face. No.
I'm Dr. Reed.
You guessed right, Doctor.
Nasıl senin durumun? Sen de berbatsın.
How is your stay with us?
Oh, it's bliss.
Can I ask you precisely why you're...
It's the pain, sir. The drugs don't work.
Yapabileceğim bir şey var mı?
For your pain?
Nurses gave me a bunch of pills. No effect. Told you. It's like the flames are under my skin, burning away.
Who is treating you? Is someone in particular looking after your case?
Nobody since the old and tired doctor spoke to me.
You don't seem worried by
My face hurts so much more when I smile or cry. I've learned it's easier not to speak. But be assured I'm smart.
Ya ölmüşsün ha, biliyorsun değil mi?
Where were you stationed, sir? Did you...
I really don't want to talk about all...
No offense. I was pushing to...
You were an officer, weren't you? Then I doubt we fought the same.
Ya sen ne var ya, hiçbir şey olmaz da. Neyse, bakacağız ama.
Goodbye for now.
Şimdilik hoşça kalın, öldürürüm belki seni de. Seni öldürmem lazım da dur bakacağız sonra. Bakacağız. Her şey sıra. Seninle konuşabiliyoruz mu? Seninle ben niye konuşmuyorum abi?
Good evening, miss. I'm Dr. Reed.
Your name has no meaning to me, mortal. You're nothing but dust.
Bu da gebermiş.
I beg your pardon.
What are you begging for, mortal? My clemency.
You keep calling me mortal. Why is that? And if I'm mortal, what are you?
Well, Dr. Reed, if you must know, I'm a vampire.
Vay. Tamam, kafa yemişsin o kesin de. Durumun nasıl?
And
Vampir
why do you
misin?
believe you're a vampire?
I don't need to believe anything. It is what I am. It is what I feel within this hollow shell of...
Please, describe to me how you feel.
I can hear my body crumble from the inside as my flesh cracks and fades. I sense the last pulse of pustulant blood within...
Tabii tabii. Anlıyorum.
I see.
Never.
It's a mental illness discovered by a French neurologist.
Delusional, you say? Oh, sad and petty mortal. You can't even begin to understand the concept of immortality. And you think it is I who am delusional.
Sen delisin.
I'm assuming you must be a patient here. Am I right, Miss Howard?
It's only a cover to hide from my enemies.
Hı hı. Düşmanlarım.
Who are these enemies you mentioned?
I cannot say for sure, but I sense their eyes on me.
The staff here are not your enemy. They're here to help you.
I'm not speaking of the doctors in white. I'm speaking of the men and women who hunt me, for I am a vampire. Thank you, mortal, but do not interfere with them, for you are no match for those that hunt me.
Sen ciddi anlamda delisin. Haberin olsun.
Who are you really, Miss Howcroft? I mean, apart from being a vampire.
Is
Evet.
that not enough for you, puny mortal? What do you require? Hmm? Proof of my power?
I'm curious to know who you were before.
Yani o
becoming a
kadar.
vampire.
It was such a long time ago, I don't remember. Centuries of unholy life
Yok sen
have strange
kafayı yem.
effects on
Senin
one's
tam
mind, you
ölme
see?
şey yapmamız lazım. Öldürmemiz lazım da ama öldüremiyoruz. Tamam, görüşürüz o zaman.
I'll leave you.
Bu arada sen bana bir şey verdin ama. Ne verdin sen bana? Tamam, bu bitti. Burada görev yok değil mi başka? Tamam. Ben ama birinden bir şey öğrendim ya. Bir dakika. Bu deliden öğrendim de ne öğrendim ben de bilmiyorum. La deli, gel buraya.
Good evening.
I need blood.
Bir şey yok sende.
I'll
Görüşürüz.
leave you.
Sende hiçbir şey yok. Ne kaldı şimdi? Sizle konuştu. Nasıl bileyim? Bu ne? Bu ne abi? Bir dakika. Sizi biliyorum da. Nasıl bilmiyorum? Bununla konuşmamışız. Dur.
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Reed.
Reed? Yes, I've been informed about your...
Does my arrival inconvenient?
Let us just say that I don't particularly share Dr.
Görüşelim, bir dur. Bismillah, bir dur. Hemen agresiflik falan. Sen ne sağlıklısın.
If you have a problem with me, Dr. Ackroyd, please.
Dr. Swansea has imposed your presence on this hospital without...
Arkada bug oldu bak.
I know we've never met before.
Yani
There is no
husmeti.
need for such animosity between us.
That is one point we could agree on.
If you have a...
Dr.
I know. There is no need...
That is...
Yok, sen dayaklıksın da neyse.
Since your tenure in this hospital is longer than mine, Perhaps you can tell me more about this place.
Let's just say I'm tired of the carelessness around me. I have always respected the skills of Dr. Swansea, but over time his enthusiasm has become...
Carelessness? Exactly what are you talking
Neden
about?
bahsediyorsun?
We're here to save lives. The people who trust us are not volunteering for experimentation. They're here to be...
I don't intend to run any radical experiments.
Modern medical methods were created through audacity and ego. But there are rules in our line of work, and they're here to protect our patients.
Diyorsun. Hemen hemen çoğunu araştırdım zaten. Şu mesela gidebilir. Tamam.
Tell me, Waverley, what do you think of Dr. Strickland's enthusiasm for his experimental research?
Strickland is playing with his patients' lives for pride and glory. Now that, sir, is...
Are you thinking about something in particular?
Harvey Fiddick needs delicate surgery. I believe we should stick to the usual procedure, but my young colleague obviously disagrees.
Sen ne yapmak
Why do
istiyorsun?
you wish to lead this search?
I strongly believe that Mr. Fiddick should not be butchered to test an unproven procedure.
Other
Bir
people
bakış
say
açısı
that's
diyelim.
too conservative a point of view.
Conservative? And what are you going to say to Mr. Fiddick if he loses his arm because of the operation? Because that's what's going to happen if the surgery is a failure.
And are you not afraid that
Diyorsun.
your rivalry with Strickland may be blinding you?
Rivalry? I guess you could call it that. But I will never be childish enough to let my personal feelings affect my judgment.
Diyorsun. Tamam.
I don't know what you've heard about me, but
I don't question your skills, Dr. Reed, but your motive.
Deniz, tam gireriz. Şunun konuşmasını bitireyim.
And what exactly is that?
Geliyorum şimdi.
I served in the war just like you. But unlike you, I did not use the wounded to play the modern sorcerer.
Be careful what you insinuate, Dr. Ackroyd.
I only want you to admit you used those men to improve your theories.
Birçok hayat kurtardı.
This is ridiculous. My blood transfusion technique saved many lives, and you know it.
You see, that is exactly what I hate about people like you.
Sen tam ölüsün ha, biliyorsun değil mi? Aman dua et.
It seems you have bad memories of your...
I refuse to see this industrial slaughter as scientific.
We can at least agree on something, Dr. Ackroyd.
Yok, sen kaşınıyorsun. Kesin kaşınıyorsun. Haberin olsun.
Thank you for your...
Nice sweet girl. Reads me like a book. I never could keep anything from her.
Tanrı'nın için araştıracak ya.
So many deaths. And still more coming.
It's locked.
How can we be sure we're making a difference?
Yo, açıldı. Evet, bunlarla da görüşeceğiz. Ama sonra görüşürüz. Sonraki bölümde görüşmek üzere arkadaşlar. Hoşça kalın. Çok uzatmayalım. Kendinize çok iyi bakın. Burada çok işimiz var. Bayağı işimiz var. Sonraki bölümde görüşmek üzere. Hoşça kalın. Hadi eyvallah.